So it turns out that, and this is from, let's see, where did this post come from? Oh, geez. Oh, it's from the Atlantic magazine. Medical workers are supposed to be using N95 masks, but as we know, I mean, all you have to do is turn on the TV all over the country. You've got nurses and doctors and surgeons and everything, you know, like sewing masks with stuff that they bought at Michael's or Target. But Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers, meanwhile, have access to N95 masks as they apprehend immigrants during a national pandemic. Apparently, the masks, the N95 masks, the ones that doctors use, the ones that nurses should be using, the ones that people who are, you know, giving these tests at the very least should be using. Apparently, there's no shortage of those masks for people who are working in ICE or in border enforcement. Trump was just talking about this on TV about 3 minutes ago, talking about how, you know, we're catching people slipping through the border and they haven't been screened and blah, 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 blah. Well, apparently ICE has all the supplies they want. How are they getting them? Well, this may be the answer. And I don't have proof that there's a connection between the two, but I saw these two stories in two different places. This was in the Atlantic, and this one, the one I'm sharing with you now, is from Bloomberg. At the same time, I mean, these stories both popped up last night. The Bloomberg story, Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker told Trump during a video conference on Thursday, that was last night, that his state 3 times lost out to the federal government on the purchase of critical supplies, creating an awkward moment during the made-for-TV event at FEMA headquarters in Washington. So Trump is doing this made-for-TV teleconference with a bunch of governors who are coming in on Skype or Zoom or whatever, and the governor of Massachusetts, who's a Republican, says 3 times we have gone out into the marketplace and we have tried to buy masks or other personal protective equipment or ventilators or whatever, and we have been, but specifically I think this has to do with masks and personal protective equipment, PPE. 3 times Massachusetts, and that was just yesterday, 3 times Massachusetts went into these bidding marketplaces, tried to buy them, and got outbid by Trump's own federal government. Charlie Baker goes on to say, again, Republican governor of Massachusetts, he says this to Trump. He says, I've got the feeling that if someone has a chance to sell to you or to sell to me, I'm going to lose every one of those. And Trump chuckled at the remark, says Bloomberg. The president replied he still wants governors to seek out their own medical equipment, although he acknowledged the federal government has greater buying power than any state. Later on in the call, New Mexico's governor, and I frankly don't recall if New Mexico has a Republican or Democratic governor, raised similar concerns. And Trump repeated his belief that the onus should be on the states. He said, my administration is not a shipping clerk. Right. So that's pretty grim.